And the tool helps you sell to how the person you're selling to likes to be sold to. And what's their problem I'm trying to solve for? And how does that person like to be sold to? Verbally, in an email, in a text message? How?
This is the Snowball Effect. You're listening to the Marketing Playbook series, presented by the Snowball Effect podcast. It's growth done right.
Welcome back to the Snowball Effect podcast. This is our Marketing Playbook series, and I'm really excited to have a returning guest with us. Ken has been in technology, home services for a long time, and he spent, the last 10 years or so, if I've got this right, Ken, in working for a moving company before that, helping out, winning all kinds of awards. I mean, go check his LinkedIn and you'll see all the awards this guy's won for adopting technology and sales and customer support and all this great stuff. So great to have you here, Ken.
Well, thanks, Todd. It's great to be here, and I could leave on that note and feel good about our exchange. The Mutual Admiration Society is alive and well. I love listening to the podcast. I learn something new from you and your guests every single time. And yeah, AI is, it's here, right? And it was funny because we're driving. Tallahassee, and I'm talking to my son, and we're on the turnpike and there's automated toll booths. And I told my son, hey, not too long ago, all the toll booths were manned. He goes, well, what do you mean? I said, well, there used to be people, male, female, in the toll booths. You give a ticket, you have to pay. He's like, wow, that doesn't seem efficient and effective. And I think my 12-year-old used those words. I had to look them up after what they meant. But I'm like, yeah. So I'm talking about this. And I'm like, it's just the evolution, right? The internet, long before you were born, Todd, right? Like I remember in grade school with the copy machine and smelling that ink and where'd the teacher go for 20 minutes? How to make copies. Then the copy machine came here, right? Then it's the internet. What do you do with the internet? And. AI is just a continued evolution of technology. And I think I said this last time, AI will not replace people. People that use AI will replace people that don't use AI. But tasks will be automated, like the toll booth collector, right? Tasks will be automated, whether you call it AI or innovation. That is life, and that's what's going to happen. But these tools are designed to make you as an individual, as my son would say, more effective and efficient in your role. But back to my background, the last 10 years or so in the moving vertical, last 25 years in the home service space, I know contact center platforms, I know end-to-end business processing, 10 years in public accounting for the largest public accounting firm in the world. Lots of good knowledge I picked up on the long way and continue to pick up. And today I am helping businesses, whether they're $1 million or $5 million, find solutions to their problems related to processes and technology. And that includes some AI tools that excited to share with you last go around, Evie AI. We'll be talking about Humantic AI today. I remember going to Contact Center Week in 2022, and AI was everywhere, right? And all these companies were talking about it. There was no practical use for it. They were touting the name, and a lot of those companies are no longer here, right? So you always have to be careful on the tools you're using. But the recommendations that I'm sharing, the tools I'm sharing that I've used for years, I've recommended to other companies that have used for years, they work. And what I love about the companies I talk about, I love them because they work.
I love that. You said a phrase I really loved, and that was practical application, practical usage. And so I'm really excited for you to introduce us to a tool that you've been using. And But just to give everybody a tease, before we jump into the tool, what problem, if you had to summarize what problem the tool you're going to introduce solves for people, what would you say that is?
Lots of the tools out there today are related to automation and going faster and quicker and doing more and more. And that's all well and good. But I equate it to my golf swing. I go to the driving range, I hit the ball, and it takes a 40-yard hook into the woods. So then I hit another one and another one. And so if I had automation to do that faster and more, all I would be doing is bad practice faster. I don't need any help with bad practice. Perfect practice makes perfect swing. So the tool that I'll be talking about today helps the sellers, and we're all sellers. It doesn't matter what you are doing or not doing, you are a seller. And the tool helps you sell to how the person you're selling to likes to be sold to. Buyer's personality. Sellers make it all about them. And I know because I'm a seller and I always make it about me. It's horrible, right? We need to make it about who we're selling to and what's their problem I'm trying to solve for. And how does that person like to be sold to? Verbally, in an email, in a text message? How do they like to be sold to based upon their personality? And people like themselves. And so someone needs time to make a decision. And I'm all about ferociously fast follow-up. Let's go, depending on the nature of the transaction. Then I am not going to align to the customer's personality, and I'm not going to generate that sale.
That's a great summary of the problem that you're about to help us solve. Introduce the tool and let's talk about it. And I'm excited for you to show us some application and walk through it.
And yeah, let's get this show on the road. So Humantic AI is all about buyer first selling and how AI can make us more human, as contrarian as that sounds. So as we get into Humantic AI, it is not just that Ken Cohen says, hey, this is a great tool. I was fortunate to be an early adopter in 2022. And I met the founder, Amar. What a wonderful, everybody I've met at the company is wonderful. And I'm talking to him about the tool. And I'm like, what about this? What about this? Oh, I didn't think about that. And I just love working with companies that have nimbility. Combination of flexibility and being nimble, and they're listening to me. Well, maybe didn't hang up on me. Maybe that's the same as listening to me. But I'm like talking about all of these ways that you can use it, and he's like, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And and here we are 4 years later, and they're recognized, by Gartner, right? So Gartner looks at 5,000 tools, and they rank and award the top 5 or 10 that they look at. And in 2024, out of 5 vendors, they won the Cool Vendor Award, right? Like, not, hey, you're cool, but a cool tool to use to help you with ... Innovation for AI in sales. How many AI tools are out there, right? And Gartner's looking at 5,000 and awarding Humantic AI 2 awards. And then you have G2. How many folks do they look at? 125,000, ranked number 67, best software. So it's not just about Ken Cohen saying, it's about what they've been recognized in the industry. If you are talking to people that you are selling or serving, understanding their personality on how a message needs to be delivered is going to accelerate your sales, accelerate your NPS score, accelerate your company performance. And some of the stats that I pulled down here, an increase on average of a 16.2% close win. Now, some companies are at 3,000, right? Average of all the companies in the mix, 16.2, and an increase in pipeline of 109%. I have mixed emotions on the pipeline number because we can all increase our pipeline, but if the pipeline's dry because what you're putting in the pipeline is garbage, it doesn't matter. But let's just assume goodwill for a second. Let's assume what's going into the pipeline is flowing energy. That's a 109% increase because you are meeting people how they want to be met. Pretty amazing stats. And that's why they have so much recognition in the industry. And their mission is simple. It's to humanize selling and help all sellers earn respect. The platform provides previously impossible intelligence about who you're selling to, and that buyer's intelligence is a buyer's first approach. So I'm gonna put the deck aside for a second, and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna share a couple things. Okay, so Humantic is an extension on my desktop tied to my LinkedIn profile. So when I go to a LinkedIn profile, let's have some fun here. Here's a guy we all know and love, Landon Taylor. So right now, it's pulling up information based on LinkedIn and the web. How long did that take for that to pull up? Seconds. Seconds to pull up the buyer's personality. So what this says is if I'm selling to Landon, how should I sell to Landon? Okay. Now, if I'm having a meeting with Landon, I'm going to be reviewing this before I call him. But even I've used it in cases where there's inbound calls. We have the inbound information, do a dip into the database. And in seconds, while I'm on the phone with the customer, I have information about the customer. So here's a buddy Landon, and it tells me a little bit about him, his interests. Hey, let me click this more. What's his job levels, experience, education? Okay. Now there's this sidebar here. When I'm looking at these different areas here, it's going to give me an overview. Landon's a serial entrepreneur, CEO and co-founder of Snoball, word of mouth marketing platform. So this gives me an overview of Landon. Achievement-oriented, charismatic, values relationships, right? And I know Landon, I know him well, and I believe that all to be true. But if you don't know him, right, it's telling you something about him. Topics they care about, right? You're learning about Landon. But here's the key, right? Here is Landon's personality, and how am I compatible? How's my personality compatible with his personality? And it's going to tell me, while my personality is DS, Landon's disk type is ID. It means that Landon is in my zone of compatibility. However, my default selling style is only partially compatible with Landon's buying style. Therefore, leverage the insights on Humantic, right? So one of the things that we did at one of the companies I worked with is all the folks answering inbound calls have personalities. We dipped the customer's information coming through, and we routed the match. So the call routing was based upon the personality match. Boop, conversion rate increase. When there wasn't a match, the call went through, but then the person received the personality type. So they knew, and we had some just short phrases along with the whole profile. A tool that when we have that 8-second warm handshake with the customer, we can route customers to people on the same personality wave. Increase conversion rate. Okay, so this tells me we're partially compatible. So I have to read my P's and Q's. I have to understand a little bit more about Landon. So how to sell to Landon? When I'm cold calling, how does he like to be spoken to? The pattern, the pace, the tone. Speak with high energy and in a personal manner, as if you've met a friend suddenly after a long time. Avoid information overload. Tactics to win, giving social proof, personal rapport, use of superlatives, repeating their name, right? Insights to how I would sell to him. Masking the asks. Use positivity or humor to make the ask. It appeals to them as if you're bringing a cheer to their day. Subconscious drivers, right? So how I want to call them if we're making a cold call. So SDRs that use the tool, higher contact rate, higher conversion rates, higher pipeline, okay? When writing an email, right? What to do when writing an email? It tells you what to do, right? Not only does it tell you what to do, they have an email personalizer. So we all know about ChatGPT that can personalize your emails. Absolutely. But what Humantic does is if I write an email, and I write emails like I talk, way too long. And some people's personalities match that. Some people like bullet points. Some people like short, sweet, right? Based on their personality. So you can take your standard email. And by the way, we did this. We had a referral program at one of the companies I worked with, and they had about a 1% response rate on their emails, which is about average. Then we took that same email and we didn't match it to every person we sent it to. We matched it to 5, 6, 7 different personalities. And we took the same email, copy pasted it in the personalizer, and it catered it to that personality type. And then based on the person we were sending the email to, that personality, we sent that revised standard letter. The response rate went from 1% to 2.7%. 1% to 2.7%, same exact letter, personalizing it based on their personality and how they like to receive emails. And you can do it based on an individual. You could do it based upon the personality type, and you put in their LinkedIn information and copy paste the email, and it will cater to it. And so I'd like to share this story. Had a bunch of people working with me, and when the calls came in, I asked them to look up the folks on LinkedIn, right? Let's learn about the people we're selling to, right? A little bit. You can pick up tidbits on LinkedIn. And so, and they had Humantic tied to the LinkedIn profile. Today, LinkedIn, Humantic doesn't just crawl LinkedIn, the whole web. So it's much more dynamic than LinkedIn. So salesperson looks up in LinkedIn and sees the person is the director of partnerships for a very large company. The salesperson says, hey, my SVP would love to talk to you about a partnership. The list, sure. No, have them send me a note. So I look it up. I'm like, holy cow, holy guacamole, Batman. And I have my emails and attachments, and I'm puking it all. I'm very well written, very professional. All the reason they should be partnering. Let me tell you all about me and the company and how we can work together and all these attachments, and 3 pages in. Wow, this is a Ken Cohen. This is gold, Jerry Gold, reference to Seinfeld. So then I take that email and I pop it in to the Humantic email personalizer. And it changes all of that to 5 words. Would you like to partner? Yeah. Okay. And no title, by the way. It had no subject. And so I couldn't pull the trigger. I could not pull the trigger because it's not how I sell, but that's not what Humantic is. It's not sellers, it's buyer's personality. So I went to bed. I didn't sleep because it was really weighing on me. And then I woke up, which means I did sleep, but you understand what I'm saying. And I said, if I'm going to embrace and use tools, then I have to embrace and use tools. So I can't remember. Maybe that was a Tuesday. So now it's a Wednesday. And I hit send. Sweating, by the way. Right? Forehead looking even more shiny than it is right now. Sweating. 30 minutes, an hour later, I get a reply. Sure when. That's a reply. Sure when. 2 words. Tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Comes back. How about 11:30? I sent the team's invite. We had a 30-minute call. We became partners, generating millions of dollars of revenue. Never, ever, ever would that have happened if I sent my email. Not that it wasn't a professional email, not that it didn't have all the important thing, but her personality and all the things that she was responsible for, she wouldn't have read it. She would not have had the time, therefore had taken to read that email, regardless of how well I thought it was with my 25 years experience. Would you like to partner? I have goosebumps thinking about it, right? I never would have got that sale. And I pride myself as a professional salesperson, selling on my personality, not the buyer's personality.
That's incredible. It's so interesting because, like you said, we get so centered on how we like to be pitched or how we like to communicate, right? As marketers, as salespeople. The thing I love about this is it's not AI trying to replace humans. It's AI trying to make humans better at what they do, to have a more
Exactly.
broad palette of,
Exactly.
of the ability to communicate to different people, right?
This is not the tool that is going to pump out faster email. This is the tool that is going to allow you to connect with people and how they want to be sold to. Whether it's email, voice, SMS, chat, doesn't matter. So, second story, right? And then I'll get back to some features. Okay. So, I'm all about ferociously fast follow up. Okay. In transaction, not enterprise wide, but transaction sales, it's all about ferociously fast follow up, the speed to lead. That's why I love Pipes AI. Now, what are we doing when we're talking to those customers, which is why I love Humantic AI, right? And when they have a great experience, why I want referrals from them, which is why I like Snowball. Speeds, ferociously fast follow-up. So I'm talking to one of my top sales folks, and I'm looking at the pipeline, and she has one of the largest orders in the pipeline that doesn't look like it was followed up in 4 or 5 days, which warrants a call from me. Say, hey, what's going on with blah, blah, blah? Ken, I follow your directions. I'm all about ferociously fast follow-up. However, the customer's personality does not like to be rushed. How they are going to make decisions, and I'll get to that in the profile, right down here, how they're going to make decisions is on their time. So he asked me to follow up with her periodically, which I've been doing about once a week. But I know you want me to call. I know you want me to get this closed. I want to get it closed, but this is not what Humantic is telling me. So we looked it up together, reviewed it. I thanked her for using the tools, and I let her do her thing. 2-3 weeks later, whatever it was, she did close that sale. And in the email that came from that customer, talking about the professionalism of the salesperson, and talking about there were 2 or 3 companies, both highly qualified, but what really had her choose my company at the time, the company I was working with at the time, was that the other 2 folks kept following up. Are you ready? Are you ready? Credit card, 16 digits, first digit is a credit. And candidly, I probably would have been one of those guys. And what I really liked about your salesperson, your professional, is that they listened to me. They did not pressure me. They followed up weekly as I asked them to, periodically as I asked them to. And it was really neck and neck, but that was the deciding factor because you all were listening to what I was saying.
It makes so much sense because we're just learning their love language, essentially, right? The way they like to be communicated to. You take one of those personality tests and you learn how you like to be communicated to, and then you hope to grow your emotional intelligence, right? And this is a tool that helps you do that, to add some different approaches to your sales pitch and to your sales process based off of how different people like to be communicated to.
That's spot on. And as I scroll down here, right, setting your expectations, and this is really accentuating the story I just told you. How fast or slow will Landon? I'm still stuck on Landon. How fast or slow will he move? If you earn their trust and they develop faith in the product, they can make decisions quickly. Can Landon take some risk or not? If necessary, they will be ready to take risks. One of the really cool things about this is buying committees, right? Because sometimes we are not selling to one person, or the person I've been working with who has the title on the org chart is not the guy I need to win over in the meeting. And so they have a buying committee, right? So what does that mean? So this is the Humantic AI dashboard, okay? And this is a sample buying committee. But I want to analyze my buying committee. So I click that button, and that's how long it takes, by the way. And now this gives me their buying committee. Oh, by the way, whether it's the profile showed of Landon or this, it's in a PDF that I can download or I can share. Okay. So what does this do? This has all of these folks here, and here's the founder. Okay. And so it's going to give you their personality up here. Then, okay, it is going to give you an overview, right? Overall personality breakdown. Okay. Then it's going to put them into quadrants. Friendlies. These people, if convinced, will support you, but not necessarily fight for you. Crusaders. These people, if convinced, will fight for you. You must aim to have 2 or more of them, otherwise your deal will be a significant risk. Neutrals. Whether convinced or not, they're unlikely to be strong supporters. They generally tend to be supportive. So neutrals don't help me. Crusaders I need. But who I need to neutralize? Skeptics. These people are often hard to convince. You should aim to neutralize them, but addressing their concerns so they do not put up strong resistance. How powerful is it to know who's sitting at the table besides their title? How often do we sell to the title? But we have to sell to the personalities and neutralize those against us. And it says what to do and don't do on the committee members. I mean, pulls it up in seconds. Where are you getting this insight, Todd? Where is someone getting this kind of information, whether it be a transactional or an enterprise deal? Where are they getting this type of information to understand how they have to pitch, who they have to pitch to, who they have to do some extra work with before the meetings to get alignment? It doesn't always align to the person that you've been working with or the org chart. That's the people intelligence part. Humantic just came out with, hot off the presses, the account intelligence piece of it, where you can put a company's name in and it will give you all of the information about that company and background and. So I didn't know if I could like do Snowball, Todd, or
Let's go with Snowball if that's one that you want to throw in. I'd love to see that.
yeah. So there are two research modes. One is moderate and one is deep. So I'm going to go with a deep dive on Snowball. But when this report is ready, okay, it will email me the report and then it will populate in my Humantic dashboard here under reports. So some of the companies I work with that are using this, they partner with other companies. Well, before they're going to partner, they're now using the tool to do the research about the company that they're going to partner with. It tells you not only the kind of personality of the company, the core values, but it gives you a deep dive and understanding of the company's buyer's intelligence, right? It tells you about the company. It tells you, the information that's out there on their history, on who the key folks are, their products and services, their core values, and it gives you a wonderful understanding in minutes about a company that you may be partnering with or a company that wants to partner with you, right? All right, looks like our report is done. It was in just a tad under 15 minutes. But, here is the account research report, both the executive summary and the full report for Snowball. And it gives us the executive snapshot, some top challenges at Snowball, how Ken Cohen, remember I put in Snowball and my name, you put in the company name, my name's fine, how I can help solve those problems or your company can solve the problems of X company, some industry insights, suggested champions at the company, next best action. So an executive summary, but then you can pop on the full report. And it's going to go into a company overview and founding timeline and revenue figures and investment announcements and financial impact and the executive leadership and the product and service portfolio and recent feature launches and pricing tiers and client testimonials, scalability, market position, and competitors, comparative analysis versus competitors' offerings, industry trends, and it goes on. It goes on and on, Todd. It is a full-blown report in 15 minutes that you get about Company A and how you can sell to company or your insights, their ROI performance matrix, their business challenges. It just tells you all about this company in a easy format for you to digest. In summary, we have a tool that provides omni-personalization. It's not about more. It's about better communication. Communication with how the buyer wants to be communicated with. As an individual, as an enterprise, attached to your Outlook or Gmail, through your CRM, regardless of the CRM. You can use the tool to increase your pipeline, increase your conversion rate, increase your opened emails, increase. Better, not more emails that it's sending, better emails that it's sending to connect with the buyer's personality.
From the Snowball team over here, we love you, Ken, and it's great to have you on the podcast again.
Thanks, Todd.
Everybody that joined us today, thanks so much, and we'll see you next time on the Snowball Effect.